Revelation 1:19 gives us the outline of the book. Okay? That's another question on the test. This is a self-outlined book. In verse 19, God unfolds the message about the future. Remember, he said, I'm going to show you the things which are going to happen. What are they? Verse 19. Write the things which you have seen. So that's the Patmos part. That actually was the past on Patmos. Then write the things which are. And that's chapters 2 and 3. Jesus said, this is how it is this moment in the 7 churches. And he actually goes on a tour to the 7 churches. Then write the things that will take place after this. After this moment on Patmos, where you're getting this message and you hear about what's going on in the church, after this is future. The future in heaven and on earth. So Revelation talks about the past. John seeing Christ on Patmos on Sunday. The present, what's going on in the 7 churches, because Jesus narrates that. And then it tells us the future. But in the process, something interesting happens. In verse 11, Jesus introduces the 7 churches. Why did he pick those 7? Because they represent all Christians of all times. Did you know, in every church, there are Ephesian distracted believers, and they love Jesus more in the past than they do right now. There are suffering people like Smyrna. They were, if you read that letter, and you will read it as part of this class, you'll see that they were suffering intense persecution. There are people like Pergamos. They're compromised. You know, they're going to the gym and they're starting to like it, you know. They're compromised. They're getting infected with the world. Then there are Thyatirans, and they're listening to false teaching. Then there are the Sardian Christians. They're paralyzed. They don't even look like Christians. You ever met a Christian that doesn't even look like a Christian? They look like a pagan. They live like a pagan. They talk like a pagan. That's how the people in Sardis were. Philadelphia, that's the one Jesus couldn't find anything they were doing wrong. It didn't mean they were perfect. They were just living the normal Christian life, which is confessing their sins, asking for forgiveness, asking to be full of the Spirit, starting anew every day, surrendering to the Lord. That's the Christian life. They're dedicated, whatever you want me to do. And then the Laodiceans made him sick. In every church, in the first century, there were some of these kind of people in every church. Some suffering, some confused, some not even looking like Christians, some really doing the job for the Lord. Guess what? In this room, you're one of these. When Jesus looks at your heart, either you're distracted, you used to serve the Lord more than you do now. You used to love him. You used to love the Bible more than you do now. Or you're suffering, or you're paralyzed, you know, with false teaching, or you're uncommitted. You're not sure what to live for. Well, to all of them, we're called to do something singular. You know what he said? I want you to be a lampstand. I want you to shine the light. That's how the church is described, as a lampstand. We're supposed to be walking around showing the light of Christ. Now, what are the 7 greatest dangers to doing what we were left here to do? Well, we could be like Ephesus, just coasting. We could be like Smyrna, afraid we'll get in trouble. We could be like Pergamos, being around sin till we're too comfortable with it, or enslaved to it like Thyatira was, or acting like a lost person like the Sardians. Or the one thing you could say about Philadelphia that Jesus said to them, he said, I've set before you an open door, make sure you go through it. Some people hold back, and the Lord gives them opportunities, and they don't, and that's a danger. Or the Laodiceans, they were totally distracted by their possessions. Okay, we have 2 minutes left, and I want to tell you something real quick. What happens when we share our hope in Christ with our hopeless generation? Bonnie and I were invited to go to a concert. I don't go to concerts, but they said, we need someone to share the gospel at this Christmas concert. There'll be 3,000 people there, but the catch is, the light comes on, you step into it, you have exactly 3 minutes, and step out, because everything's orchestrated and something's going to boom as soon as you're done. I said, you want me to speak for exactly 3 minutes? Do you know how long it takes to practice and write and go over what you're going to say? To only talk for 3 minutes. And I said, what am I talking about? They said, hope. So I said, okay. And so I went through in 3 minutes what I already told you about Jesus is just this far away from you, and if you reach out to him, he's near anyone. And so I came out, stood in the light, they filmed me. Someone took that and they said, hey, we captured your 3-minute hope thing. Here's a copy of it. You want to post it? I said, oh, sure. So I posted it. Here's a note I got. A woman was 60 years old. She was riding the subway in London. She said, I'd lived my whole life. I'm in my 60s. She said, since I was 13, I've gone to Glastonbury. I've met every one of the great rockers. I knew Queen. I met Sting. I met the Beatles. I didn't even know their names. Mick Jagger. She said, I've known them all. She said, I'm too old. My heart's failing. And so she said, I was pretty empty. And she said, I typed into Google hope. And she said, I watched a 3-minute show, and you said to bow your head and reach out, and God is there. So she said, on the subway, she said, I had my phone, and I went like this. And she said, I'm writing to you because something happened to me. She said, I called on the name of the Lord. That was 6 months ago. She said, I've joined a church. I've gotten baptized. I just finished taking all of my covers down from all my concerts and threw them in the trash. She said, I wanted to write you a note. I met Jesus and reached out. He gave me hope. Did you know that's all we're left here to do is share our hope in Christ?